Donald Trump's renewed push for mass deportations and how it reflects deeper patterns in U.S. immigration enforcement and foreign policy. It aims to expose the symbolic versus actual impact of Trump's actions, while drawing a historical through-line from earlier administrations to now. The angle is critical and investigative. It uses Trump's current policies as a launching point to scrutinize broader issues of U.S. imperialism in Latin America, economic coercion, and the moral failures of bipartisan immigration control. The writing style is conversational and analytical, shaped by the host-guest interview format. The host maintains journalistic clarity, while the guest, Greg Grandin, often delves into dense historical and political analysis. The tone is serious, informed, and at times emotionally weighted. It avoids any sensationalism but does carry a subtle urgency, particularly when discussing human rights, migration hardships, or Trump's rhetoric docked in terms of accent, slang, and vocabulary. There is little to no casual slang. However, the vocabulary includes a mix of political terms, for example, mass deportation, sanctions, neocon agenda, and academic concepts like neoliberalism, informal empire, and American exceptionalism. It does not use regional speech but requires some political literacy to follow easily. Some terms like the cruelty is the point or culture war politics carry a loaded ideological weight meant to evoke a strong response from informed viewers. The structure follows a multi-phase interview arc. It begins with a sharp, news-oriented introduction that lays out the stakes. The story progression then moves from the spectacle of IC raids under Trump to a deeper analysis of U.S. immigration infrastructure, comparing Trump with Obama and Biden. From there, it zooms out into the root causes of migration, like NAFTA, U.S.-driven economic disruption, and historic militarism. It culminates in a discussion of the Monroe Doctrine and Trump's imperial gestures, before ending with philosophical reflections on progress, liberalism, and global justice. The pacing escalates from grounded facts to sweeping systemic critique. The hook is immediate and high stakes, as Donald Trump escalates his mass deportation plans. Are U.S.-Latin American relations at an all-time low? This grabs attention by tapping into an urgent political moment, while also signaling that the video will go deeper than surface-level news coverage. The framing promises insight into both present policy and historical context, which helps the viewer feel like they're getting rare depth. The storytelling rhythm is driven by variety and escalation. It avoids boredom through its back-and-forth format, its mix of recent headlines and historical flashbacks, and its shift between concrete events, like ICE raids, and abstract ideologies like neoliberalism. The script is layered every few minutes. A new historical or geopolitical insight reframes the previous point. This provides intellectual stimulation while maintaining narrative forward momentum. The writing quality is high, but the clarity varies. The host speaks plainly, but the guest uses longer, more complex academic structures. That said, the ideas are consistently compelling, intellectually rich, and emotionally resonant. Viewers with basic background knowledge will find the content deeply engaging, though some segments could be overwhelming for a broader audience. To maximize average watch duration, the script relies on emotional stakes, for example, family separation, forced migration, intellectual tension, for example, the contradiction between U.S. ideals and actions, and the introduction of escalating threats, for example, Trump's potential alliance with neocon actors. It continually raises new stakes: economic, ideological, military, ensuring there is always something next. The viewer wants to understand. Segmented structure in narrative form. The introduction poses urgent questions about Trump's deportation surge and its geopolitical consequences, immediately grabbing the viewer's attention. The setup explores how this spectacle of enforcement compares to Obama and Biden's records, laying the groundwork for a deeper critique. The conflict arises as the guest reveals the performative nature of Trump's crackdown and the limited actual capacity for mass deportations. A reveal follows as the conversation pivots to how U.S. foreign policies, from NAFTA to sanctions, create the conditions for migration in the first place. This expands into a powerful emotional beat as the guest reminds us that people migrate out of desperation, not ignorance of U.S. policy. The climax builds through a historical lens, discussions of the Monroe Doctrine, imperial legacy, and economic warfare amplify the stakes. Next is a turning point where the focus shifts to Trump's symbolic power plays, renaming the Gulf of Mexico, threatening Panama, which reflect old imperial instincts. The modern parallel is drawn with the rise of right-wing culture war politics in Latin America, showing that Trumpism may be globalizing. In the future tension segment, the possibility of Marco Rubio driving U.S. foreign policy is explored, raising alarms about renewed chaos. The script moves into a symbolic closure as it reflects on Trump's dismantling of foreign aid infrastructure, like USAID and NED. These changes signal a retreat from global stewardship and a breakdown of U.S. soft power. Finally, the conclusion offers a philosophical reflection on how U.S. liberal progress has often been tied to war and imperialism, arguing that today's generation must imagine a just future untethered from that legacy.